10,000 people have clicked the subscribe button on this channel, and that is insane. Every single video I have posted on this channel has been for D2C founders, agency owners, and media buyers, creatives just like you. Of course, the number alone is absolutely mental, but what's even more amazing is that you trusted me enough to click subscribe. I am so incredibly grateful for every single person who has subscribed or watched a video, liked a video, engaged, whatever that is. And so to celebrate hitting 10,000 subscribers, we are going to do a little Q&A. I posted across all of my social channels asking you what questions you want me to answer. Let's see how many of these I regret answering. So let's kick off with the first question from JT, who said, what's the best way to gather prospects for my static ad creative service for e-com brands? And if testimonials are key, how would you recommend I go about getting strong ones to build credibility? One of the best ways, if you're just starting out in any kind of agency world, you need case studies, you need testimonials, you need people that have trusted you in the past. And so how do you go about that when you're starting from scratch? You do work for free. I know this is going to sound crazy and probably not the answer that a lot of people want to hear, but even when I was starting Fraggle, we did so many videos for next to nothing, if not free, just to build up our portfolio. Every single one I said, listen, I'm going to do this for you cheap, or I'm going to do this for free. In return, I want you to write me a case study. I want you to write me a testimonial. Because just having people say that they have trusted you and that they like working with you is often enough to push someone to work with you. And the second part of the question is about gathering prospects for his ad creative agency. And honestly, personal brand. Pretty much every single client that's ever come to Fraggle has come because of my personal brand. In fact, 10,000 people subscribe to me here on YouTube, over 30,000 follow me on Twitter, and all of those are basically potential customers. They're people that are either building something to the point where they'll be able to work with me, or they're already building something and can work with me. I post out relevant content that people engage with, they see me as a trusted authority, and eventually when the time is right, they purchase from me. And that is the best way to build any agency. However, if you're starting from scratch and you just need some clients, I would probably say offer to do work for free, show your value, and then pitch. BJ said, Fraser, if you were running a solo/two-man agency, what is your first hire? Honestly, it totally depends on the type of agency you're running. What I always do is have a look at the parts of your day, whether that is the fulfillment of the service or whether that's admin, whatever it is, look at the jobs that you and your founder do throughout the day and see which ones you could offload to someone else. For us, when we were building Fraggle, one of the first things that we did was hire a producer, because casting and location booking and all these like admin things completely drained me and my co-founder, and so that was one of the first hires we ever made. After that, it was a creative strategist, because I was doing all of that and I just simply didn't have time to do it, so we offloaded it to somebody else. And that is basically how I have hired throughout the entire thing. Whenever we can't do it ourselves, we hire someone else. When there's too much work for that person we hired, we hire someone else. Hiring people is probably one of the hardest parts of building any kind of business, so good luck, BJ. Max from marketingmax.com, absolute legend. He said, how many clients have you got from your YouTube channel to date? This is a very difficult one to answer, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have perhaps watched my videos in the past, but then they've read one of my emails or something, and that's what made them become a client. But I'd say the majority of clients as of late, probably the past 12 months, all of them have watched a video of mine at some point. I've had some that have never seen me on Twitter or LinkedIn or anything. They've just seen my YouTube. I'd probably say at this point, maybe about 10 or so. Like I said, because it's just organic, you never know the content that people are consuming. It could be much higher. I just see YouTube as just another content pillar. It's another place for people to discover me or people to build trust with me. In fact, if you've ever booked a call with me, then you'll know a couple of days before the call, I'm sending you some of my YouTube videos so that you understand what we do at Fraggle and you become familiar with me. My idea is that when you get on the call with me, you already know me, you already trust me, and you already want my service. Bernard has said, how long did it take me? I'm guessing that is in reference of reaching 10,000 subscribers. Honestly, I'm not sure. So I actually made my YouTube channel in like 2007. Back then I used to post like stupid comedy videos as well as like tech videos, but then I started posting actual like marketing material material in like 2024. And so you can see here from my analytics, when I actually started to give YouTube a proper go, it was probably at like the start of 2025. And then progressively throughout the year, as I've been posting more and more regularly, then the subscriber count started to grow. At the start of this year, I really wanted to give long form YouTube a go, particularly after seeing some of my friends like Dara Denny do incredibly well on the platform, doing ad creative and marketing content, and I wanted a piece of that pie. And so I found an incredible agency that was able to help me with the YouTube stuff, and then it allowed me to post more consistently without taking too much of my bandwidth, and here we are. It's a long answer for a very short question. Andrew Tan said, how is a supplement brand that you started with Supliful going? Not sure if there was ever an update on it. So unfortunately, it didn't go as planned. I was hoping that I was going to have a lot more time to build this. However, I kind of launched it on the sly and we tried to give it as much time as we could do. And unfortunately, it was just too big of a beast to tame. I think I had a bit of shiny object syndrome. And when Supliful came to me with the idea of launching a brand, I was like, oh my goodness, let's do it. And then suddenly the agency side of stuff got incredibly busy. It needed way more of my time, and that is my baby. And so one thing had to go, and unfortunately that was the brand. Maybe it's something that I'll pick up later down the line, but right now I'm head on with the YouTube stuff and the agency. Bri has said, congratulations, Fraser, on hitting 10K. Here is my question. Looking back, what's been the one decision that moved the needle the most for both you, for your agency growth and your personal growth? Always curious how those two intercept. It's really strange to think about because me and my business partner, we started Fraggle back when I left university, like over 10 years ago, and we were making corporate videos and we weren't really in the e-commerce space until about 2019, 2020, where we started making ad creative. And so I think that in terms of the agency is probably the biggest decision, was to move into a specific niche, which was ad creative for e-commerce brands. Because if we didn't do that, we wouldn't be where we are now. In terms of my personal growth, this one is a little more difficult because I can't really think of any like decisions that I made. I think one of the big ones was moving into this space that we're in here. We're in a 2,500 square foot studio, which has always been my dream and it's always been something that I wanted to do. And last year we pulled the trigger on it and we built out this custom space. And in terms of my personal growth, this has really allowed me to kind of grow into a space and do more that I want to do. So that and getting married, I don't know, one of them. Danavir, maybe that's how you say it, I'm not sure. He said, how has the YouTube growth impacted your agency / life? Is it your #1 channel for leads yet? And then also they said best advice for YouTube growth, especially in such a crowded category. So the first question, how has it impacted my life? Massively, really. I don't think it's just, to me, this is just another aspect of my personal brand that I have to build in order to see the returns further down the line. So I wouldn't say it's impacted it. It's definitely helped me grow as an expert in my field and definitely helped with a couple new revenue streams and stuff like that. But in terms of like impacted it massively, probably not that much. The second part of the question is about leads. You know what? There was a couple of months, particularly this summer, that YouTube became one of the biggest sources of leads for my agency. But like I said, it's very difficult to know because so many people just come from my personal brand as a whole. When I ask them, like, where did you first discover me? Some say Twitter, some say YouTube. It's a really mixed bag. The second part of this is about YouTube growth in a crowded category. Unfortunately, I wouldn't know too much. I hired an agency to help me with YouTube because I tried to crack it so many times myself that I just decided I need to give it to an expert who can actually help me out with this. And so I did. I handed it to someone that's become a good friend, Alex, and his crew, who have been taking care of all the YouTube stuff, and I've just been following their lead. So big ups to them. But honestly, I think it's just about standing out in some way and doing something different to what everyone else is doing and making sure your content is actually good. So James, good friend from Motion, he said, if I was to buy one light to step up my video game, which one? Well, you come to the gear master. I absolutely love gear. So I think when it comes to lights, you need to keep things pretty simple. There's a couple of brands that I always go to. One of them is Aperture. The other one is their sub company Amaran. Those make incredible lights. And in fact, one of those is lighting me right now. So this is my setup here. Mine are the Diet Coke cans. But you can see I've got an Aperture light here. with this big softbox here. The key to good light is just making sure that it's strong enough and you can control it the way that you want to. So I would suggest some kind of Amaran light that you can clip a softbox onto. I think there's like the 300Ds or something. I think this is like a 120D. We're going to get pretty nerdy here, but that one. So Yasin said, congratulations. Where is your representative office located? We're based in Manchester in the UK. We've got a couple now from a YouTube community post that I put up. And the first one is, what's the most difficult part of your job? This question took zero thought. Staff is the #1 hardest part of my job. Whether it's finding staff, managing staff, whatever it is incredibly difficult. And it's something nobody really tells you about when you open a business. You have to deal with people. People get unhappy. People are incredibly happy. People want to do something else. It's just like, it's a never-ending list of things that can go wrong and things that can go right. You need to assemble an amazing team, and I have done that at Fraggle, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the people that work here. But it is so incredibly difficult to manage people, particularly as someone that didn't get into this to do this. I've had to learn this skill as I've gone, and I am still learning today. And it's even harder now that most companies have a large remote side of their team, just like we do. It means that they're not directly in the room with me, and I can't just turn to the side and talk to them. It's difficult. This username I can't even pronounce, so I'm not going to bother. The best tool to make ad creative. It depends what it is. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Adobe suite as a whole, whether it's Photoshop for statics or whether it is Adobe Premiere for video ads. I love the Adobe suite. That's what I was trained on as a filmmaker. But actually for statics, I've been using Figma way more than I have for Photoshop. QT Lash said, what ad creatives work best for local businesses? Static ads are incredibly powerful for any kind of local business because they are glanceable. People can understand what you are doing and what you're selling very quickly. I then say next up is probably like UGC videos of the founder. You're a local business, which means that people can relate to you because you're from the same place as them. And so if you film yourself in your store or doing your job, then people are much more likely to get behind you. If you look at some of the really successful people who are on TikTok, who run small businesses, because they document what they do, you should always be documenting. Honestly, if I ran a small business, a local business at this point, I would just set up my phone in the corner of the room and I would go live on TikTok every single day. Tom has said, what is the best tool for sound? As mentioned before, I love the Adobe suite. We use it for pretty much everything. So I use Adobe Audition if I'm looking to do any like really ingrained sound stuff, but usually the sound tools inside Adobe Premiere are pretty spot on. The final question now is, your course says not available. When will it be back? Well, this is actually pretty exciting. I'm working on a brand new version of my course like right now. I'm hoping in the next couple of months we will be relaunching the course. You can check it out at the Ad Creative course. The reason that I took it down, and I get so many questions about this, is I just thought it wasn't relevant. The industry has changed so much in like the past year that I just didn't feel right charging people to learn things that are fairly outdated now. And so I'm working on a new one. It's going to be coming out soon, and hopefully it will help a lot of people learn ad creative. If you have purchased the course in the past, you will of course get access to the new course as well, so don't worry. There are so many questions that I could have answered during this, but I just kind of picked a couple from Twitter and from the YouTube community post. But if you do have any more questions for me, please do leave them down below in the comments and I reply to every single one. So with that in mind, thank you so much for subscribing and clicking like and watching videos, whatever you've done to engage with these in the past. I thank you so much. Please do continue to watch these videos and support what I do. And I'll see you in the next one, I guess. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you soon.